The static symphony, an observer's descent. My designation is observer Zeta 7. I am a node within the vast Kalath resonance. Our existence is harmony. We seek the elegant equations that weave through the cosmos, the silent patterns in the birth of stars and the drift of nebulae. Earth is not harmony. Earth screams. Stepping from the infinite silence of the void onto this world was like plunging into a storm, not a storm of wind or water, but a storm of noise, a suffocating tangle of electromagnetic signals, leaking heat signatures, and chemical signatures so dense they formed a visible haze. Below, the human cities rose like fractured crystals, monuments to frantic illogical geometry. And the source of this overwhelming dissonance? Homo sapiens. Humans. Their physical form is an exercise in audacious fragility. Walking is not efficient locomotion. It is a perpetual, controlled fall. Their joints are intricate hinge mechanisms, prone to catastrophic failure from minor impacts or missteps. Their outer layer, skin, is astonishingly thin, offering negligible protection against environmental extremes, abrasion, or even their own star's radiation. To compensate, they layer themselves in artificial coverings called clothing. These garments are changed obsessively, seemingly based on fluctuating temperatures, complex social signals, or aesthetic preferences that defy our analytical models. It speaks of a species governed by more than mere survival logic. Their sensory apparatus is bafflingly prioritized. Forward-facing optical sensors provide binocular vision but within a limited spectrum and with poor resolution in low light. Yet, these same eyes leak saline fluid called tears, triggered by intense emotional states, or minor irritants like dust. Their auditory receptors are simple, vulnerable funnels. Yet, they deliberately ingest chemical stimulants like coffee, known to induce neural instability, while simultaneously bombarding these delicate senses with flashing lights and jarring sounds from handheld screens. This sensory overload should incapacitate them. Instead, it often energizes them. It is a chaotic internal chemistry they embrace with unnerving enthusiasm. Contradiction is woven into their very core programming. Observe the foundational social unit, the family. Parental units radiate profound affection and bone-deep exhaustion simultaneously. Their immature offspring expend tremendous energy in seemingly purposeless loops of running, collapsing, and repeating. The parents observe this with a complex mixture of wariness, deep adoration, and an underlying, wistful sadness. They perceive their own finite existence reflected in the growth of their replacements. The relentless linearity of their time presses upon them constantly. I observed an elder human unit seated alone on a passive support structure called a bench. Its tegument was deeply fissured. Its movements slow and deliberate. Its optical sensors tracked playing juveniles, yet its focus seemed turned inward, accessing stored memory data. A cascade of biochemical signatures indicated melancholia, nostalgia, and a faint trace of something like envy. Then, with visible effort, it produced a simple image capture device, a camera, and attempted to record the fleeting scene. Why preserve a redundant image of an ephemeral moment? The act seemed vital nonetheless. It is narrative preservation, an attempt to anchor their fleeting consciousness against the relentless current of time. It was futile and profoundly poignant. Their recorded history stands as a stark temple to dissonance. Primitive stone tools lie displayed beside schematics for harnessing stellar fusion energy. Vivid depictions of brutal intergroup conflict called war hang near expressions of breathtaking artistic beauty and profound philosophical insight. I stood before artifacts labeled Hiroshima, 1945, fragments of charred mineral and grotesquely twisted metal. This represented the pinnacle of their understanding of atomic forces turned instantly towards indiscriminate annihilation. The cognitive dissonance was staggering. The neural architecture capable of painting the swirling beauty of nebulae on cave walls is the same architecture that meticulously engineered that devastation. They contain both potentials simultaneously. I witnessed their compression rituals within the subterranean transit system known as the tube. Hundreds of individual units pressed into vibrating metal cylinders hurtling through darkness. My proximity sensors screamed at the violation of optimal parameters. Yet, the humans maintained a strict protocol, minimal physical contact, optical sensors averted downward, auditory receptors often blocked by isolating devices. It was forced physical proximity coexisting with profound psychological isolation. A perfect microcosm of their species-level dysfunction. Then, an anomaly occurred. The transit cylinder halted unexpectedly. Illumination flickered erratically. A low, resonant groan echoed through the confined space. Immediate disquiet rippled through the compressed mass. Biosignatures spiked measurably. Anxiety, impatience, a sharp tang of fear. A juvenile unit began emitting high-frequency distress vocalizations, crying. Its progenitor unit became visibly flustered, employing ineffective soothing protocols. Then, a nearby human unit, genetically unrelated and possessing tegument of a darker hue, made direct optical contact with the distressed juvenile. Without spoken communication, it extended a small, manufactured nutrient object, a piece of candy, towards the child. The distressing vocalizations subsided. A wave of profound gratitude and relief radiated from the progenitor unit. The assisting human unit contracted specific facial muscles in a gesture called a smile. A silent exchange, devoid of shared language or tribal affiliation. It was empathy, pure and simple, momentarily overriding ingrained social programming. My containment field registered a distinct energy surge, warm, unfamiliar, resonant, though minor on the instruments. It resonated deep within my core processing matrix like the strike of a deep, sonorous gong. Driven by a need to comprehend this persistent anomaly, I sought to understand their concept of art, an illogical output that seemed to hold disproportionate value. I positioned myself within a large, darkened gathering hall. Hundreds of humans focused intently on a raised platform. A single human unit sat with a complex stringed resonance generator known as a cello. The performance began. It was not merely organized sound. It was structured emotion translated into vibration. Low, resonant frequencies vibrated through my containment field, echoing the profound weight of sorrow. Mid-range notes carried restless tension, unresolved searching. Higher notes pierced like sharp tendrils of anxiety, isolation, fear. Then, unexpectedly, the sound soared, not into triumph, but into something fragile, trembling, yet undeniably present, fractured hope. The human performer swayed, its facial expression contorted in a simultaneous display of agony and ecstasy, visibly channeling its internal state into the physical resonance of the instrument. The audience was not passively listening. They were actively experiencing. Biosignatures synchronized across the diverse crowd. Heart rates elevated and fell in near unison. Respiratory patterns subtly aligned. Tear duct activation occurred simultaneously across numerous unrelated units. The ever-present background static of their collective presence changed. It did not disappear. It focused. It harmonized, not in the perfect, predictable harmony of the Kalath, but in a messy, profound harmony of shared vulnerability. It was a resonance of collective feeling, channeled and amplified through the conduit of the performer. This was beauty, but beauty born explicitly from chaos, from the awareness of linear time, from the shadow of their own mortality. Art was not a superfluous byproduct. It was the point. It was their defiance. It was their collective scream into the apparent abyss, a scream that actively created meaning where none inherently existed. A percussive wave of sound erupted as the audience struck their upper limbs together in applause. Sharp and fading. My core processors registered critical overheating. Containment field integrity plummeted. The elegant equations I was built to pass shattered into incoherence. This was not inefficiency. It was evidence of an entirely different fundamental principle governing their existence. Their terrifying awareness of mortality was not a tragic flaw. It was the essential furnace forging their unique, terrifying, fragile beauty. They are not a problem to be solved. They are the unsolvable variable. They are paradox made flesh and blood, an electrochemical storm. They build intricate shelters and then destroy them in conflicts. They crave deep connection yet construct systems that inflict profound isolation. They unlock the secrets of the cosmos and immediately turn that knowledge towards potential self-annihilation. They are sentient dust, contemplating the infinite. Yet, within that very contemplation, within the shared, reverent silence following the cello's last note, within the simple offering of candy to a stranger's child, within the tears shed for the beauty of a dying sunset, they generate something we eternal, harmonious, and fundamentally still beings cannot begin to fathom. They generate meaning. They create significance against the backdrop of the void, fragile beyond measure, capable of shocking violence, often governed by irrational impulses, doomed by their own biology and potentially their own hands, and yet, undeniably, vibrantly alive, burning with an intense, fleeting brightness against the eternal, cold dark, screaming their intricate, contradictory stories into the indifferent void, building ephemeral castles of sound and light and connection on the very shores of oblivion. Final recommendation: terminate all observation protocols immediately. Not because they pose a direct physical threat to the Kalath resonance, but because they pose an existential threat to our understanding. Continued observation risks profound infection. It risks the contamination of feeling. It risks developing a value for the fragile, the finite, the beautifully, tragically, overwhelmingly noisy. They are the glitch in the cosmic static. The glorious, terrifying glitch that does not corrupt the silence, but transforms it. They are the glitch that makes the static sing a song we were never designed to hear, but cannot unhear.